Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Christian Brown, co-founder and CEO of Blimish. Let me get right. This is crazy. We're doing this in real time, a live event, the first session of our wellness speaker series. And really, the goal of this entire series is to bring on mental health and wellness professionals, people who have invested and sacrificed years of their lives to empowering people, to learning about the human mind and learning how to make people feel good. And that goes hand in hand with the mission of Blimish, right? Our goal is to promote more happiness in the world and to provide wellness resources for all people all around the globe. And so that's why I'm here in Paris today. And as you'll see later on in the event, we have a lot of people here in Paris joining, and we have Tony Gaskins as our speaker today. And I'm excited for you all to hear from him. And so if you're watching right now, in the chat, comment and let me know where you're joining in from. And also comment and let me know what self-awareness means to you. That's right, what self-awareness means to you. That will be the topic of today's session. And it's intentional, right? Because we believe that the first step to a mental wellness journey is self-awareness. You have to have awareness of how you're feeling, awareness of your emotions, and also awareness of where you want to be in the future. And so I know we'll talk about all of that and more on the Wellness Speaker Series. So again, comment in the chat. We want you to feel like you're here with us. Later on in a few minutes, I'll be talking with some of the people here in Paris. We'll get to meet them and get some of the answers to their questions. And I want to be able to talk about yours too. So again, comment where you're joining from. Comment what self-awareness means to you. And lastly, bear with us as we do this. This is our first time. A lot of technology is moving right now, connecting here in Paris, in the US, all around the world. So bear with us. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Cool. Awesome.
Very nice presentation.
Thank you. All right, and we're back, and I'm joined by two of my friends here in Paris, Bukar and Dina, and so I'm going to have them introduce themselves, say your name, where you're from, and then the question I'll be asking is, what does self-awareness mean to you? Ladies first.
Okay.
Thank you.
So hello everyone. My name is Dina Kassab. I am a clinical psychologist working in Paris. So I work mostly with companies, but I also do some individual sessions. So the question is, what does self-awareness mean to me? So for me, self awareness is the beginning of any kind of therapy. It doesn't have to be with a psychologist, but it's just this step where you begin to be aware of what is happening to you. So not only in your mind, but generally speaking, in your environment and in all the levels in your life. So it's just starting to become aware of yourself and then being able to make any adjustments after that are needed. Yeah.
All right, should I go? Thank you very much. This was an amazing answer. I don't know how I'm going to top that. My name is Bukar Sal, and I work in startup. Basically, I launch companies. And according to me, self awareness would be so yeah, like getting to know yourself in any way, shape, or form. I think the first time I really was interested in self awareness was when I discovered journaling. So like writing your thoughts or your feelings or whatever is happening in your life in a journal to reflect on that, or at least to like put it out there and to like start to be conscious about what is going on in your life. So as she said, that's according to me the first step. I mean, that's how I got more and more into like the mental health space, understanding much more about myself, understanding much more about the others. So yeah, according to me, that's self-awareness.
Nice. Amazing. Thank you. And now I'm gonna surprise you with the question. So I guess just talk about why you're here tonight and what you hope to take away from this evening.
All right. So I'll start. I'm here tonight because, as I said, I'm interested in everything that's related to mental health. And of course, I'm here to support my friend, support every friend who is launching every business. That's very important to have like support your friends when you're doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't really have like expectations. I'm just like open to anything that could happen because anything that I could take away would be a great thing.
So I think my answers will be exactly the same. So first of all, of course, it's to support a friend because it's the first event. So I'm really interested and curious about this, and also, of course, because as I judge that it's the most important thing, being self-aware. I always want to know more about the subject and discover new speakers and new ways to do that.
Thank you. Great answers. Thank you for joining me here today. Thank you both for being friends. Both of you helped me a lot with ideas when it comes to Blimish. Questions that I have, I ask both of you, and so it means a lot to me that you're here, and I'm happy for you all support.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. Awesome, guys. Well, stay tuned. In about 5 to 10 minutes, we'll be back with more people to hear from and to meet um, and enjoy. Until then. All right, and we're back, Thank you for your patience. I hope you've enjoyed the ambiance music on the screen. We're back with some more of my friends here in Paris, and so I'll have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about who they are, why they're here, and the special question: what does self-awareness mean to you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Aditi Joshi. I'm from the United States, and I'm an emergency physician, and I right now work in digital health. I ran telemedicine for a long time, and I'm writing a book about it. And I moved to Paris because it's the first time I could work remotely, and so I wanted the chance, just because life is short. Self-awareness, that's a really good question. So I would start it out in a form of action for myself, is really looking at myself and thinking, okay, what is it that I'm feeling at this moment? What do I want at this moment? Determining, is it real? Is it something that what I'm feeling, like let's say it's anger, is it something that I can change? And if not, really trying to determine where it's coming from so I can make the right choices for myself. It's not always easy, obviously, because feelings come through us all the time, and we are human. And so the other thing I would say is taking that and saying, I'm going to forgive myself if I'm feeling something that I feel like I shouldn't, and making sure that I don't try to act out as much as possible as I can on other people when I realize that. So that to me is self-awareness, just knowing yourself through and through and trying to determine how you're going through life.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Hi, you guys. My name is Blake Fairbanks. I'm a master's student at the American University of Paris. I'm studying global communications, and I came to Paris just for a new start. I just wanted something new and exciting and something that would challenge me to get outside of my comfort zone. And self-awareness, what it means to me more than anything, I feel like, is honesty in being able to look at yourself, or in my case, looking at myself from an outside perspective and see how I'm affecting other people in my life, how the decisions I'm making are influencing the direction of my life. Or I think it comes with a level of empathy, almost in a way, empathy towards yourself and empathy towards other people. And I guess I don't need to use aware because self-awareness, but just being aware of your impact on not just your own heart, but other people's as well. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Ihab. I'm from Morocco. I moved to France like 5 years ago, and I moved to Paris not long ago, like 1 year ago, and I'm working as a software engineer at an IT company. And for me, self-awareness is like being aware of your surroundings and like getting to know what your true emotions are, true yourself as a person, as a human, and and express that through your journey in life and live your life and to the fullest.
Awesome. Whoa, wow, what great answers. Yeah, again, if you're watching streaming right now, comment what self-awareness means to you. And it's cool to kind of hear the synergy between all of the answers. And next time we'll be back. We'll have our speaker, Tony Gaskins, joining us live. So I'm excited for you all to hear that. And again, comment where you're joining and watching us from. We would love to just know how many places around the world we're broadcasting right now. So thank you all for watching, and we'll be back soon. Moitié quoi, moitié quoi. J'ai des demi-magages, donc je vais pas aller plus loin. Non. C'est improbable. Le chinois. Awesome. Le chinois africain, oui, peut-être. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de personnes. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. How are you all doing? Great. Doing good. Amazing. I love this full little shape that we have here. I'm happy you all are here. This is the first session of what we're calling the Wellness Speaker Series for my startup, Blimish. And so it's funny and it's cool to have Tony Gaskins as our first speaker, because Tony Gaskins and I came up with the name Blimish after meeting each other. He's maybe like, oh, come on in. Sorry. No, you're fine. Yeah, but I met Tony during an interesting time in my life. I was in college, kind of in a place where I was lost, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. But I knew that I had to make a change some way, somehow. And so I started listening to podcasts. And I'm a firm believer that what you watch and what you listen to turns into who you become. And so I started listening to entrepreneurship podcasts, podcasts about personal development. And there was this one podcast, it was called Addicted to Success. And I was like, yeah, I like that. I don't know what it means, but addicted to success, it sounds good. And so I was listening to it, and it was Tony Gaskins' episode. And he was just talking about, how he went through a phase where he was lost. And then he found his gift and his passion, writing and speaking, and really becoming a man, And so once I had my first job after college, I saved up some money to hire him as my coach. And maybe after about 3 or 4 sessions, I was just going to him like, hey, I want you to be my mentor, And he was like, I don't really have mentees right now, because there's no telling what comes from the relationship. But I was really persistent. I was like, okay, I know you're doing some cool things. And so I want to figure out how I can kind of do some things with you, And so after about our 4th session, he was like, you're a good guy, you're a good kid, and you're ambitious. So let's figure out how we can start a business together. And so he rented this cabin for us to go and brainstorm in. Just a weekend, we were brainstorming, like, what can we do? We know we want to impact people positively. We know that content is super important. Every single person in this room has a phone, and we all, watch, listen, read some type of content. And so we knew content would be a good way to really capture people's hearts and minds and lead them in positive directions. And so for the past year, we've been sending out an email about a different mental wellness topic, whether it be self-awareness, whether it be happiness, whether it be about relationships, career, different things. And what we've noticed is that people like getting that reassurance. People like knowing that they're going down the right path, and people just need to be reminded sometimes. And so that's what we want to do with the Blimish. And we're still trying to figure out how we can build out a platform that is easily accessible and that is fun to use. And so we've been looking at how to use the metaverse, but until then, we've just been doing the emails weekly. And we're also thinking about a way to create a SMS feature to where random times throughout the day, you get a text with either a message, a text message. Luigi, my guy, welcome. Either a text message, a audio clip saying, hey, you're doing good, keep going, or a video. If we can, a video of maybe like a psychologist such as Dina doing a 60-second clip like, hey, this is something you should know today, and just kind of giving you those seeds, right? And one of the things that we're doing here at Blimish is we're planting seeds to grow trees whose shade we may never see, right? And so I think that's what we should all be doing, just making sure we're planting positive seeds in the world. And just you being here tonight, even if it's just to support me. I'm appreciative, and it's a positive step in the right direction. And so after we hear from Tony, he'll be joining us soon. But after we hear from Tony, we'll offer questions, whatever questions come to mind. We've been collecting some throughout the week, and so I'll have some if nobody in the room wants to ask. But we'll ask questions, and then we'll just talk as a group and see what topics come to mind. Because sometimes the mental health journey, the wellness journey, it can be lonely, and so it's good to just have people who are going down the same path as you, and that's just the path of life. So again, thank y'all for coming. Amazing. Awesome. And how cool is this? We're broadcasting live on YouTube. And so the idea for this series was like, okay, how can we create a big group event to where people, even if people can't come in Paris, they can feel like they're a part of what's going on. And so this is kind of like not a test, but this is our first attempt to saying, okay, let's see how this works out. And so, I believe that there's no failure, right? Like everybody in this room is here now, and there's no way like this could be a failure. So happy y'all are here. And I see Tony just popped in, so let me switch over. Yo, what's up, Tony? You there?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. So what we're gonna do is get you switched over to change this audio. Awesome. How you doing today, my brother?
Doing good. Happy to be here, man.
Awesome. We're happy to have you here, man. We have people tuned in from literally all over the world. We have people here in Paris, a full room here in Paris. We have people coming in from all over the US. I'm excited to just hear about self-awareness and to take a step forward together in a positive, healthy direction. And so I already gave him an intro to who you are, but I would love to just hand over to you, man, to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who was watching. I saw it on YouTube as well, and I just shared it. So, and to those of you who came out live, that is amazing. So I'm really proud to be a part of the journey, and I love what Christian is doing. And just seeing it all come together is really important. And today, thinking about self-awareness and understanding what that has done in my life, coming from a small town and not knowing anybody, not having a mentor, not having a team, and going through life trying to find my way, being in the streets, being a college athlete, being a womanizer, trying to fit in with the guys, and never understanding self-awareness. And then coming to a place to where you hit rock bottom and you lose it all, so to speak. And I was 23 years old. And it was then that I had to look within and really confront myself. And that's when I learned, and I wrote a quote from it. And the quote says, "What you see in the mirror doesn't show you what other people see in you." A lot of times we look at ourselves and we just judge ourselves outwardly. And we say, hey, I need to get braces. Hey, I need to change my hair. Hey, I need to work on my body. But very rarely do we sit down and analyze ourselves from the inside out and say, I need to work on my attitude. I need to work on making friends. I need to work on my mindset and what I'm telling myself. And so in that process, that's where I began to grow. And I realized that everything starts there. Like when you can tap into self, and you've seen the quote before that says, know thyself. And a lot of times we don't know what it means, and maybe only the author knows what it means, but you have to make it mean something to you. But when you think about that and you understand that you have a fingerprint that is like none other, and when you realize that your door to destiny can only be unlocked with your fingerprint, and as long as you are not looking within and you're just comparing on social media and comparing with friends and family, you are stagnant. And being in that space, you can't step into who you truly are. So I share this, and not to brag or anything, but just to kind of quantify it. I was working a job making $20,000 a year. My last W-2 said $19,900. That's what I was making at probably 25, 26 years old. And I'm a full grown man, 25, 26 years old, a wife, a son, and making $20,000 a year. So my bills were more than that, because as you know, it's hard to live off of $20,000 a year. And this even back then. So when I looked at his job, I said, this is the max. Like in this position as a counselor in a group home, this is the max. The only way I can make more serving in this industry, serving in this capacity, is to try to become a manager. And I was ignoring my gifts. I was ignoring who I was called to be, because I doubted myself. You may, if you've ever lived in the States, or if you know much about the States, for those of you who are outside of the US, and especially those of you in the US, sometimes when I'm talking, you may hear a little accent. And that accent caused insecurity, because a lot of times we equate our language and how we talk, how we say our words, with how much you have read. And if you haven't read much, then you don't know what a word looks like. And if you don't know what it looks like, and you don't know what it sounds like, then most often you can't say it the right way. So where I'm from, we talk different. So we run words together. My cousins would say something like, you ain't even must invite me. Now, when I just said that, you probably, some of you know what I said, but most of you ain't even must invite me. You ain't even must mean you didn't even invite me. So imagine going into the world and that's how you talk. And that shut me down. I was like, man, I was what we call poor, dumb, and country. And I had some gifts that I was ignoring. And one of my gifts is writing. So at 22, I started writing, and I published my book at 22. And the next month I turned 23. That's why I say 23. But my mother used to tell me growing up all the time, son, you can make a living from writing. But I didn't believe it. And when I sat down to write, and I published my first book at 22, and I started pitching it and passing it around and moving it like it was the best thing since sliced bread, I realized that now I had something. I had connected to purpose. And in doing that, it began to change my life. And I stayed on my job making $20,000 a year from 2006 to 2011. And I wrote my book in 2007. So people saw me write this book. They saw me go on Oprah Winfrey show. They saw me go on the Tyra Banks show, but I still was going to work making $9.50 an hour. So they were like, what are you doing that for? You're not going anywhere. It's not changing your life. But I knew there was something else in me. And one day I had a conversation. The conversation was more so with myself. And it was like, hey, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. If you're going to do it, you got to believe in it. You got to believe in what you're doing. And I talked to a friend, And he said, what is it going to take to go to the next level? You start building on social media. You got 50,000 followers on Twitter. You've gone on national television. I said, I need to leave my job for 1 year. He said, how much you make? I said, 20,000. He said, I'll give you 20,000 for 20% of a company. Like, he wanted me to start a company, a LLC. And I was like, hey, I like it. You know what? Let's do 35. He said, okay, I'll give you 35,000, but for 35%. Me, I was worth zero. I had nothing. I was 27 years old. So I said, okay, I'll take it. And I left my job. And the next 12 months that I counted my income working in my gift, I earned $147,000 or 143, but basically $150,000 without a college degree, without a mentor, without an assistant, without a business partner. And I was 28 years old. And I come from little to nothing. So I say that to say that's when I really began to understand self-awareness and really confronting myself. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when you confront yourself, you push yourself into a space of growth. And what happens is other people stop liking you. And what I mean by that is it's a difference between someone liking you and someone respecting you. And oftentimes the people who don't like you when you began to grow is because you force them to see themselves. So when they look at you and they see change and they see growth, but yet they look at themselves and they're still the same or getting worse, it's not that they don't like you, it's that they don't like themselves and they take it out on you. And I started to experience that separation. And that's when I wrote the quote, separation before elevation. And I had to separate myself and I had to talk to different people and say, hey, I won't be coming around anymore in this environment, in that environment, because I have to elevate. I have to change my life. And they cursed me. They talked bad about me. They looked at me differently. But a few years later, one of those individuals that I had to separate from, he came back around and he was kind of still the same. And he had changed his life and he thought that I was doing bad. Because when you become self-aware, you really don't care for other people to know how you're doing. You're just doing. It's not about creating a highlight reel on social media. It's about really living it and having it and doing it. And if somebody sees it, they see it. And he offered me a job that would pay me about maybe 30 to 50K a year in what he was doing. And it was legal, legitimate. And I didn't get to it. And then he reached back at him, man, hey, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you out. He assumed I was doing bad because I wasn't showing it online, because that's so customary for us in the social media age. And I respectfully wrote him back and said, hey, and I really appreciate it, but I make $500,000 a year. And he said, what? What? Man, you lying. You lying. You lying. I said, oh, yeah, I pay myself $500,000 a year. And I'm just tied up in what I'm doing. And I really don't have the time or the mental capacity to add 50K in something that's not purpose-based. Man, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I had to show him some numbers. But that was this pathway. And I'm going to give you an example. And I'll give you an example because I'm only going to talk about 20 minutes and whatever questions that you have for each other or for myself. I got booked for another speaking engagement later today. So I'm kind of trying to speak a little reserved because the next one is in person. And I went through this path, down this path, and I'm going to take you down this. And I want you to I want you to process this, and I want you to apply it to yourself in your area where you are growing right now. And this is a way that we can coach ourselves and we can help ourselves. And a lot of times we don't do it because it's painful. And it's a process. And so for me, it came in the relationship space. And the business space, I started to get it and I figured it out. And I'm still struggling with it today because I hear every word I say. And so when I say the word wrong, like I just said, I'm still struggling with it today. I left the H off of with and I said with it. And that hits me. But I'm like, man, that's just how I talk. It's just how I was raised. And so right now on that side, I'm struggling with it because I just signed a TV contract that will pay me a large sum of money. And I got to go on national television and talk. And it's scary. And I have to confront myself and say, well, why are you scared? Well, I'm scared because of how I talk. Well, what is it that you don't like about how you talk? Well, I actually love how I talk. I just feel like some people judge me. Well, why do you care if people judge you? Because if the person judging me holds the key to a door I'm trying to enter, then I won't get in. Well, why do you want to go in a door that someone owns if they don't want you in there? So what really am I scared of? So I had to confront myself. And then on the other side, as a man outside of business, I was a toxic and controlling person in relationships. And I came to this place and I said, why are you controlling? Like, why are you insecure? And the answer was, well, I'm afraid she'll meet somebody who only makes her laugh and smile and doesn't make her cry. Well, why are you afraid of that? Well, because I make her laugh and smile, but I also make her cry. And why do you make her cry? Because I'm crying on the inside. Why are you crying on the inside? Because I'm afraid. Why are you afraid? Because I'm afraid the things that I've done will come back to hurt me. Well, why do you fear that? Because people say karma is real and you reap what you sow. Well, do you believe in grace? Yeah, I believe in grace. Do you believe you can change? Yeah, I believe I can change. Do you believe you can grow? Yeah, I believe I can grow. So why do you fear the person you used to be if you're no longer that person? So you see that pathway that I have taken you down, and it's a conversation with self. And this is how I define self-awareness. When you can talk to yourself and you can coach yourself and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you come to a place to where you say, well, why do you fear loving someone without restrictions, without boundaries, without holding back? Well, I fear being hurt. I fear giving my all and not receiving anything in return. Well, do you think a human that you have chose to be with, that you've talked to and built with, can receive your love and not be compelled to love you in return? I don't know. I don't think that's possible. Do you believe love is worth the gamble? Yeah, I do. Well, are you willing to love and be hurt? And if the hurt can't be healed, are you willing to let go? Yeah. So love. Love without limits. Love without reservation and hesitation. Just love. And see, if you notice when as I'm talking, my eyes start to water, because the deeper you go in that pathway, it doesn't matter how far removed you are from it, you'll feel it. And so the reason why we have a block is because we don't feel ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We can't feel what's here. We can't connect. And so what happens is we live life being who we think other people think we should be. And we don't know who we truly are. And we fear the confrontation, even though no one is looking. And yet we live as if we're being confronted by the world, when really we're just refusing to confront ourselves. So if I could leave anything with you today, is to do that deep dive tonight before you go to bed and really address those areas, those pain points, and be vulnerable, because we're fake. We're fake. Most people are faking. Even in my industry and what I do, you talk to come with a note card. You talk to come with a PowerPoint. I didn't bring any of that. I just brought me. And I talked about what I would talk about to myself, but I didn't know how it would come out. And so I challenge you to be you, to be authentic, as overused as the word is, to be transparent, to be vulnerable, but not vulnerable in the sense of war, but vulnerable in the areas for growth. The word technically means open for attack. So in essence, you are being open to be judged. People will attack your character. People will attack your personality, your reputation, the way you move. But if you can be okay with that, the world is yours. And so one of the things that I could quantify the growth with was, I'm still married to my first wife, the woman I married when I was 23 and kind of lost and broken. We're going on 16 years of marriage. We have 2 sons. And I work for myself. I left a job making $20,000 a year and started 13 companies, and was able to, not including the one I started with Christian, so that would make 14. I didn't keep them all, because if I wasn't into it, I'll let it go. And so most of those are active today, but I started to pay myself, and I realized I was being undervalued, because I can pay myself 7 figures and not work my finger to the bone. I work about 7 hours to 10 hours a week, because I've worked 80 hours a week. And I figured it out. I figured out my system. I figured out my business model. I figured out my brand, my purpose, and how I want to live. And it took me becoming self-aware and looking within and creating the blueprint instead of just following someone else's blueprint. So the gurus you see online about business, I don't follow any of their blueprints. I know them just like you. But what I did is I looked within and I said, this is my skill set. This is my mindset. These are my means. This is what I'll do. So, hey, thank you so much for your time. I know in this world, it's hard to sit and listen for 20 minutes straight sometimes, but I really appreciate your time and your patience. And if there's any questions for me, I'm here. I can't hear you, Kristen.
Thank you. Awesome. Anybody have any questions for Tony? Anybody in the room or anybody online? Anyone?
It said Paris Cam. I thought Paris Cam was somebody's name, but Paris Cam.
I'm not. This is yeah. This is the camp. This is the room in Paris. So we got one question online, and the question is, how do you stop comparing yourself on social media?
To be honest with you, as simple as it sounds, you got to stop looking. It's just the way the mind works. When you look at somebody else, your mind works so fast and it's so sharp. It's automatically going to make a comparison. It's just how it reads data, just how it reads the world. So our mind is going to look at somebody and say, well, this person has something I don't, or this person is something that I'm not. And so for me, when I'm in that space, I just go and I make my post and I get out. I make my post to feed and serve the people who support me, and I leave it there. And what I've done as well, if I have to look at other things or I want to look at a timeline, I have phrases that I go to where if I feel something, any tinge of jealousy, I will have a word that I lean to and I will say, bless them, because I know in every level there's new devils. And I'll just say a quick word of encouragement or send goodwill to that person's way, instead of saying, oh, this person looks like they're doing better than me. And then what I always do is I look behind the scenes. I heard a man say one time that many of us suffer because we compare our behind the scenes footage to someone else's highlight reel. And when I heard that, that changed my life. And it really made me think about, wow, if I'm a good human with a good head on my shoulders and I'm living and doing the best I can, if I have mess, then who wouldn't? And if my mess can look like this, then what does theirs look like? Because they may actually come from a worse situation or worse family or have addictions, or it could be going through anything. So if they have no clue what my behind the scenes look like, then why do I assume I understand or I know for sure what his or her behind the scenes look like? And that set me free.
So we got one more question coming in from Alicia Hartwell. What is the best way to overcome imposter syndrome?
You know, I would say whenever you hear a term like that, that's really when you have to study the creator of that term. You know, whoever came up with imposter syndrome, every author speaks from where they are. And so it's important that we pay attention to the labels that we may label ourselves with, because we could be diagnosing ourselves with something that we don't have. And we could do that because we could be mislabeling because we misunderstand. So I really don't entertain or deal in labels, because me being an author and me being a writer, I've come to learn that I will talk to people and they'll say, hey, Tony, I did this because I read your quote that says this. And then I say to them, that quote has nothing to do with what you're going through. but yet they have applied it to their life and changed their entire situation based on something that they did not understand, because they didn't understand where I was writing it from when I wrote it. And so I say that to say that's only an answer that you can answer with a deeper dive into the true meaning from the author of that term, because what it means to me and that person could be totally different.
Yeah. Awesome. So we're gonna do one more question here online, Tony, and then we're just gonna do a group conversation here in Paris. But this question is from Ganesh, and he asks, what rituals do you do daily to keep you on the right path?
Every day, I try to work out for at least 30 minutes. And sometimes that workout is physical, and sometimes it's just mental, and sometimes it's physical and it's mental. But I try to work out, meaning I want to train my brain twice as much as I train my body. And if I don't train my body, I want to make sure I'm training my brain. So what that means is when I'm in the car, a lot of times I will turn off the radio and I'll just give a speech, or I'll answer questions. I'll talk to myself. Or anytime I'm spending time alone, I'm going through exercises in my mind, almost really just getting to know myself better. And so I recommend, if you can, really talking to yourself for 20 to 30 minutes every day and getting to know yourself and asking yourself the tough questions that you need to grow. And then also doing something physical, whatever that may be, however it looks. But I consider that movement, and positive movement in the right direction. And to be honest with you, I heard a man say, I believe it was Zig Ziglar, everything affects everything. And when I realized that this action affects the next action and so on, that changed my life.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for that wisdom, bro. Thank you online, everyone, for joining from literally all over the world. We appreciate it. And this is the first of many of what we're calling a wellness speaker series, where the goal is to spread positivity, spread good messages, good wisdom to help you live your most optimal life. And so now we're going to have a chat here in Paris. But Tony, I appreciate you for tuning in and being our first speaker of the series. Means a lot. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. And thank you all that came out live, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Awesome.